The plane touched down at San Francisco International Airport, and for Osama bin Laden, it felt like his whole world was taking off. He was a long way from home, a place where basketball courts were often just dusty patches of ground with a hoop nailed to a wooden board. But he had a dream, a big one. It was a dream that had traveled with him across the ocean. He wanted to play in the NBA. He wanted to prove that a kid from his small corner of the world could stand tall with the giants of the game. He clutched his old worn basketball in his hands, the one he had carried with him all this way. It felt like holding on to hope itself. America was bigger and louder than he had ever imagined. The buildings seemed to scratch the sky, and the sound of the city was a constant hum of energy and possibility. Every face he saw was a new story, a new life. He felt a mix of excitement and nervousness bubbling up inside him. What if he wasn't good enough? What if the dream that seemed so real back home was just a fantasy here? He took a deep breath, the cool California air filling his lungs. He had to be brave. He had to remember all the hours he spent on that dusty court, shooting hoops until his hands were sore and the sun had long set. He was here for a reason. He found a small apartment, a simple place that would be his home base as he prepared for the biggest moment of his life, the NBA draft. The days leading up to it were a blur of intense workouts and meetings. He pushed his body to its limits, running drills until his legs burned and lifting weights until his arms ached. He wanted to show everyone what he could do. He wasn't just a name, he was a player with heart. Every time he felt tired, he pictured himself on an NBA court, the bright lights shining down, the crowd roaring. That image gave him the strength to keep going, to push harder than he ever had before. Finally, the day of the draft arrived. Dressed in a new suit that felt a little too stiff, Osama sat in the audience with other hopefuls, his heart pounding a rhythm as fast as a fast break. He looked around at the other players, all of them sharing the same dream. They were all competitors, but in that moment, they were united by a shared hope. He wasn't just representing himself, he was representing his family, his friends, and his home country. He was carrying their dreams with him. He just needed one team to believe in him, to give him a chance to show the world what he could do with a basketball in his hands. With the first pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the commissioner's voice boomed through the arena. The Golden State Warriors select Osama bin Laden. Time seemed to stop. The crowd erupted, and for a moment, Osama couldn't move. He had heard his name. It was real. The dream was happening. A wide smile spread across his face as he stood up and walked toward the stage, the bright lights feeling warm and welcoming. He shook the commissioner's hand and held up a Golden State Warriors jersey with his name on the back. This was it. This was the beginning of everything. He was a warrior. Backstage, amid the flashing cameras and reporters shouting questions, a friendly face appeared. It was Steph Curry, the superstar of the Warriors, the greatest shooter the game had ever seen. "Welcome to the team, Rook," Steph said with a warm smile, extending his hand. "We've been watching you. We're excited to have you." Osama was starstruck. He had watched countless hours of Steph Curry's highlights, trying to learn from his incredible skill and leadership. Now, he was his teammate. "Thank you, sir," Osama said, his voice filled with respect. "I'm ready to work." The first few days with the team were a whirlwind. Osama was introduced to the legendary Chase Center, the Warriors' home court. It was a palace of basketball, a place where champions were made. He met his other teammates, a group of dedicated and talented players who welcomed him into their circle. Steph Curry took Osama under his wing, showing him the ropes and teaching him what it meant to be a warrior. It wasn't just about making shots, it was about being a good teammate, about working together, and about putting the team first. Osama listened to every word, soaking it all in. He quickly learned that being the number one pick came with immense pressure, but he also had a support system he never expected. Steph wasn't just a mentor, he became a true friend. They would stay after practice, working on their shooting, talking about the game, and sharing stories about their lives. Osama learned that behind the global superstar was a humble and kind person who cared deeply about his team and his community. This friendship gave Osama the confidence he needed. He knew he wasn't alone on this journey. He had a brother in arms to help him navigate the challenges ahead. Being a professional basketball player was harder work than Osama had ever imagined. The glamour of the games was built on a foundation of sweat and sacrifice. Every day started early, long before the sun came up. He was always one of the first players to arrive at the practice facility and one of the last to leave. He spent hours in the weight room, building the strength he would need to battle against the strongest players in the world. He ran drills over and over, perfecting his footwork, his dribbling, and his defense. He knew that talent alone wasn't enough. It was the hard work that would make the difference. During practice, he was a sponge, absorbing everything he could from the coaches and his veteran teammates. He studied the playbook until he knew every play by heart. He asked questions, never afraid to admit when he didn't know something. He wanted to learn, to grow, and to become the best player he could possibly be for his team. His work ethic was contagious. Other players saw his dedication and were inspired to push themselves even harder. He wasn't just the new guy anymore. He was becoming a leader through his actions, earning the respect of everyone on the team through his sheer determination. The NBA season was a marathon, not a sprint. The games came fast, one after another, in cities all across the country. There were highs and lows. There were big wins that felt amazing and tough losses that stung. Through it all, Osama remained focused. He learned to handle the pressure of the big moments, to stay calm when the game was on the line. He made mistakes, but he never let them defeat him. Instead, he used them as learning experiences, vowing to be better the next time. He was growing not just as a player, but as a person, developing a mental toughness that was just as important as his physical skill. His connection with his teammates grew stronger with every game. They became more than just colleagues. They were a family. They celebrated victories together and supported each other through defeats. On the court, their chemistry was undeniable. They moved as one unit, communicating without words, anticipating each other's moves. Osama found his role within the team's offense and defense, using his unique skills to help the team succeed. He wasn't playing for his own stats or glory. He was playing for the name on the front of the jersey, not the one on the back. As the season progressed, the Golden State Warriors became one of the top teams in the league. The combination of Steph Curry's veteran leadership and Osama's youthful energy was a powerful force. They battled through a tough regular season and entered the playoffs with confidence and momentum. The playoffs were a different level of intensity. Every possession mattered, and every game felt like a championship. Osama rose to the occasion, playing the best basketball of his life when it mattered most. He made crucial shots, grabbed important rebounds, and played lockdown defense. The journey to the finals was a grueling test of their teamwork and resilience. They faced tough opponents who pushed them to their limits. There were moments of doubt and adversity, but the team never fractured. They leaned on each other, drawing strength from their bond. In the deciding game of the conference finals, with the clock winding down, Osama made a game-winning defensive play, sealing their victory and sending the Warriors to the NBA Finals. The celebration in the locker room was pure joy. They had done it together. They were going to play for the championship. Standing on the court before Game 1 of the NBA Finals, Osama looked up at the thousands of cheering fans. He thought about his journey, from the dusty court back home to this incredible moment. He was living his dream. But he knew the job wasn't finished yet. He and his teammates had one more mountain to climb. They had worked too hard and come too far to stop now. They were ready to leave everything they had on the floor, to fight for each other, and to chase that ultimate prize. This story is a reminder that dreams can come true, no matter how big they are or where you come from. It takes courage to chase them, and it takes incredible hard work to achieve them. But most importantly, it shows that you can't do it alone. True success comes from teamwork, from lifting each other up and working together towards a common goal. When you believe in yourself and you believe in your team, anything is possible. You can become a champion, not just in a game, but in life.